It's a gamble every day, that's just how we live. That's just how we live. That's just how we live. Some things out of control. It is what it is. It is what it is. It is what it is. It's a gamble every day, that's just how we live. That's just how we live. That's just how we live. Some things out of control. It is what it is. It is what it is. It is what it is.
Back with another episode of the Major Music Lounge podcast. It's your host, D Dot. And today we're actually going to have a singer-songwriter coming to us all the way from Norway by the name of Mathilde. But she's going to be on to talk about some of her recent releases. I got a chance to listen to 3 singles titled Colorblind, Confide in Me, and Smoke and Mirrors. We're going to talk about that, her journey creating music, and more. If this is your first time tuning into the Major Music Lounge podcast, I like to talk to other independent music creators, music producers, artists about their journey creating music. You know, maybe you are a content creator. Maybe you also develop music production apps, or you have experience getting some of your tracks placed in film and television. It's stories like that that we have other music creators come on and talk about. And also in this case, like Matilda's going to talk to us about a recent release. Maybe you had a recent release. If that is the case and you're interested in getting on a Major Music Lounge podcast, feel free to hit me on any one of my socials. You can find me on Instagram, on Threads, and TikTok at d._major music, and on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, is going to be at d.mme. And if you like this interview, please go ahead, hit the subscribe button. And you can also find these interviews not only here on YouTube, but also all podcast streaming platforms. So if you're on a go and you want to listen to something maybe while you're working out, driving around, whatever the case may be, feel free to find a Major Music Lounge on your favorite podcast streaming platform. Now let's go ahead and get into the interview. So, kind of getting into, you, the music. Tell us a little bit about how long have you been a music creator?
I've been writing songs as long as I can remember. I did actually perform, like the first proper performance was at this local talent show, and I was 9 years old. I did an English song, and this was back in the 90s, right? I'm a 88.
Okay,
Crazy
yeah.
88er. So this was back in the 90s, and all the English, we didn't have like English in primary school. We didn't start until like third, fourth, fifth grade. So my grammar was so bad. It was so bad. My cousin had to help me, and it was. But I did perform my own song. It was a pop song, very 90s type of pop song, Natalie
Okay.
Imbruglia, in English. And I still remember the song. I have a plan. I want to release it, but with my original grammar and then a different version with like a proper grammar.
So, coming out of the 90s, because I'm an 80s kid as well. So, like listening to a lot of your music, I kind of, in fact, got that type of feel. Like you had some of that, that type of
You
feel of
did.
that 80s vibe to it. I mean, excuse me, 90s vibe to it. Almost like
Yeah.
a mid 90s vibe to it. So, like, kind of with that being said, like, tell us a little bit, whether it was a person, whether it was, it could be the music itself, but like, where did you get a lot of your influence for your sound?
Um, that's kind of, it's a very complex thing because I come from a musical family. So both my parents are musical educated. They are classically trained, and my dad's a percussionist and my mom's a trombone player. So they studied classical and jazz, um, both of them. So I grew up listening to Beethoven and Mozart and Haydn and Vivaldi and all that classical music, and I
Okay.
still love it. So, and to me, and I am jazz educated, so I have a master's degree in jazz. But to me, electronic music has always been like there's something about this the build of tension that I love in electronic
Yeah.
music, where you just kind of add little like you have this theme, and then you keep building it and increasing the tension until you release it. And for me, this might come as a strange how do you say this similarity. To me, it's very similar to classical music, because a lot of classical music have like a motive, and then you build it with the instrumentation. Like I love Dono, where you have like ba-dum ba-dum ba-da da 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 da, this beautiful motive, and then you build it with the whole orchestra. And that to me is what electronic music is all about. So growing up, I just love that when music can give you that, oh, I want to have the release, and then 5 minutes in, 10 minutes in, the release comes and it's like, ah.
Yeah, I could totally see like the correlation between the two styles, especially like me, being experienced. I never went the classical route though, like I was in band, and I guess like we played a lot of themes, but like, one of the things that, even to your kind of point, I've watched a couple of orchestras, and even like aside from that, I have a lot of friends that are also performers in the dance and techno space, and I've been to some of their shows. And I kind of noticed, just like you were talking about, how the music kind of starts out, just steady, and then it just builds up and crescendos all the way until it just has that yeah, eruption at the end. And yeah, I see that in both types of music, so I could kind of understand, where you're coming from when you just pointed that out. Now, you I went to your SoundCloud, in fact, and I listened to like 3 tracks on there, and it was Colorblind, Confide in Me, and then Smoke and Mirrors. Now, like, coming out with some of your music, do you also produce your music, or do you work with a producer coming up with your instrumentals for these songs?
I always I have this, I tried in my 20s, I tried to do everything myself, and I wanted to be like this one woman band. I realized I cannot do everything myself. No man, no woman can do everything by themselves. We need, no man is an island. There's something about that
So,
saying. So we need other people. And I started just, I think it's about 5 years ago, I really started writing with people. Up until that point, I'd always write by myself, and then I wrote the music, and then I had this idea of how it was supposed to be, but then I kind of like I had to, uh, of course, adapt because I was in bands, so other people had thoughts about how the instrumentation should be and stuff like that. But now I always work with great producers, so I find people that I vibe with and that have the right technical skills and musical skills, and then I rather pay professionals than trying to make my own dance track, because it's so much harder than people think. They think it's just like putting a loop and then putting some synths on,
yeah.
and then it takes finesse to make a great EDM house dance track. So I prefer to work with professionals on that point, but I always on my latest releases, I've always been a co-producer, because I have thoughts about the instrumentation, about long, I
Yeah.
don't like it has this kind of beat, I need this kind of vibe, this bass is better than this. Let's have a breakdown, let's have a build up, let's do something. So I tend to be very much a producer, but not a technician on
Yeah.
my own songs. So I think it's time we start defining those roles, because a music producer back in the 90s, 80s, 70s, that was not the person like typing the buttons, like pushing the buttons. It was the person saying, I want this for the track, I want that for the track, you know? And so these roles are kind of mixing. So I'm trying to call myself a producer, even though I don't push the buttons.
Yeah,
All
and that's valid though, because you bring up a great point. There have been several people, through our several producers rather throughout time. I'm not gonna mention one of the names because he's in pretty bad trouble right now. But Bad Boy Records guy. I'm gonna just leave it at that. He was a producer on a lot of songs that a lot of other composers actually were playing the instruments. And then I can remember like Kanye West very much did a song very similar. In fact, Diamonds Are Forever, he did it with an orchestra, and he kind of told them his concept, and he made the beat, out of the orchestra playing. But yeah, there's several examples of like producers not necessarily playing the instruments themselves, but bringing concepts to maybe other composers and seeing their ideas come to life. As there are times, even myself, like I'm a music creator too, and I'm an artist and a producer, but there are certain times, even myself, I may not I may have a certain sound in my head, but it's not necessarily a style of music that I do regularly. So I might have to work with somebody else to get the sound that I want, or maybe somebody just produce the whole entire track themselves. Either way it goes. That was kind of what I was gonna ask you too. I mean, you really kind of said it as far as being in a studio and working with the producers, or sometimes having the producers like send you files of beats, and you just kind of go through it and seeing if you have something that you've wrote that fits a concept to one of these songs. But you're very much hands-on with this process, as I'm hearing.
I think, yeah, obviously, as a songwriter, there are several different ways to go about this. So I have I have written a lot of top lines all by myself, just producers sending me a track like, "Hi, I need a top line for this one," and then actually, I did. That happened with one of my tracks that I released a year ago called Insomnia. It's together with a Norwegian producer called Hamang. And that was a track where he just sent me like 4 or 5 different tracks, almost finished tracks. And this one track, this is the first and only time this has happened to me where someone sent me a track where just like, this is my heart. I'm gonna pour my heart and soul into this track, and this is my song. So this is the actually Insomnia is the only song that I have written on somebody else's track that I've called my own. But other than that, I do a lot of top lines for other producers, and producers have released top lines with my vocals on it. But when it's my solo songs, when it's my project, my babies, then it's like I like to be in the studio and be there and work with people from the get-go, just to see like I might have this tiny idea, this hook line or this chorus or this type of beat in my head. Like you said, I can sing you the beat, but I have no, I cannot make it.
Mm.
So and then I just outsource the right people for that type of track.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
find the lyricists that I want to work with on this type of track. This is a ballad, this is a sad song, this is a happy song. And I kind of just bring together the team. And I love working like that because I write mostly about personal relations, about emotions that occurs when you meet people. And I just love I is it cheesy to say that I love people? I kind
no.
of hate people, but I love people at the same time. So, so yeah.
Like, I'm a very introverted person, but I will say, like, when it comes to music creation, I like creating around people a lot of times, because I feel like the energy can help bring something else out of the session, or even creatively, like, and I had a friend that, he's passed away a couple years ago, but I used to like going to the studio with him because he might tell me if I wrote a song and maybe some words come off different. Like he might tell me, okay, maybe you should write these lyrics instead, and it might sound better. And, just little things like that. You don't know who could see something creatively, whether it's lyrics in the song or whether like talking about production can give you something extra that can help, elevate your song. So that's why I kind of also like to create with people in that space. Now, talking about further about your tracks, tell us a little bit about Colorblind and your concept for writing and creating that song.
Yeah, yeah. First of all, I just have to say I'm sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
That is, but I think um, those kind of emotions are what drives me. Not necessarily when you lose someone, but I think that to be in meaningful relationship is always a scary thing to do, to open up and to rely on people and to trust people and to love people. That's always scary, but is that is then you're into the core of what I kind of like want to do with my music. I want to go into that core. And it's funny that you mentioned Colorblind because Colorblind is one of my heart songs.
Yeah.
It's I remember I was in a session with this producer, who calls himself Flöber, and we were gone. This was our first session together. It was in the beginning of the pandemics, in 2020. So it was in the beginning of the pandemic, uh, and and it was all of these emotions. I work as a singer in the event industry, and in 2 days, all of my gigs were canceled. I was
Wow.
like, shit, am I gonna live on the street? Do I need to sell my flat? Do I have to move home to my mom? It was so much frustration. And I think like for everyone during the pandemic, it was hard. It was tough. Even though if you had a steady income, if you had a place to live, if you had a boyfriend or whatever, it was a hard time because all the uncertainty and insecurities and yeah, all the not knowing. And so I remember in this session, me and this guy, Flöber, we were just like, are we even allowed to meet? Can we even meet up and make music? Okay, we have to keep a distance. So the hook line, I'll lose my mind. I remember I was just like, I was so frustrated. So that was the first thing that kind of just like came out, and he loved it and we kind of vibed on it, and then we started finding the chords. I played the piano. We found the chords, and then he just built this soundscape because the beginning of Colorblind is very fog on a cloudy
Yeah.
autumn day, very Nordic kind of vibe. And that was the whole purpose because all my emotions that day in that period was just like I don't know what to do. So we just tried to put that in music. And it turns out, yeah, that became one of my own favorite songs.
Yeah, I really like the sound. I like the instrumental, the very like upbeat song, almost kind of like makes me want to work out. When I hear that song, just has that type of energy behind it. And now is that just a single, or do you have that on an album that is out now or coming out even?
As for now, it's just singles.
Okay.
So I released on last Friday, I released, I think it was my 10th or ninth or 10th single solo. I've done some collabs as well.
Okay.
But the plan is to put everything on an album after a while. But as for now, I try, as an independent artist, you need to kind of like build that steady foundation, find your fan base, find out who are you, what's my sound. And for me, I feel like I'm still experimenting with my sound, but I'm starting to figure out what's me. What do I like to write about for my project, and what can I write about for other people? Um, how do I want like my vocals, the top line to be, and everything. So I think both like Colorblind, I'm Naked, or In Your Mind, I'm Naked, and Unforgettable. Um, all of these are very dancey tracks.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
think I have to say, D Dot, I think even though I really want to I want to make art, I want to make art in dance music. that's what I want to do.
Yeah. Yeah, like I could kind of I could kind of see like one of the things that a lot of artists, especially artists that are new to creating music, one, it's very hard to like find that target audience when you're starting out. Even sometimes when you're going for years, like I've been doing this for quite some time, since like '06. But I probably feel like in the last 5 years or so, I've really found that audience that I feel listens and interacts with me on social media, things like that. That's really supports me. And I'm just trying to find ways to continue growing that audience as well. So I can definitely understand where you're coming from, in that regard. But, definitely continue releasing the singles and, continue doing what you do because I really like what you're doing. Came across your music through Laurie. So, I really like it.
Thank you so much. But can I ask you then, since okay, you've been releasing music for yourself for a long time, and now you feel like you're starting to find your audience. Have you do you have any like tips or tricks on how did you do it? Did you release singles and then albums and then just kind of like build it gradually, or did you do anything drastically different and then this is my sound? Like what's your story?
Yeah, yeah, and thank you for asking. I mean, one of the things was I kind of started backwards, to be honest. Like when I say backwards, initially, like my first release was in 2011, and I've been creating music though since 2006. But like I came out the gate, I mean, it was an EP, but I felt like it was incomplete. And then I started dropping albums from there on out. But it got to a point where I realized I went back to the EP strategy and I started dropping a lot of shorter, like anywhere from 5 to 7 album or EP projects. And I mixed in albums and singles in between. And usually like what I may do is either when I come out with a full album, like I recently dropped the album about a week ago actually,
Oh wow,
called Thank
congratulations.
you. Thank you.
That's huge.
Thank you. It's called At a Different Speed too, and it was actually a collaboration with another producer. Um, but like I don't really release a lot of lengthy albums. I could probably, on one hand, out of all the releases that I've put out, count as an artist, that is. But like, I do put out instrumental projects as a producer, and that's also been a part of my strategy is mixing in instrumental projects in with my albums as an artist. And then, aside from that, I do a lot of like content creation like beat making videos, tutorials, sometimes maybe even breaking down an instrumental that I created, and that has gotten like an audience basically that's engaged on YouTube that they might follow me on other platforms as well. So I think like a combination of releasing shorter projects along with and one of the things also like I don't just release the content within that content at the beginning of it or at the end of it. I may promote another project for people to go and check out. So, that's going to always kind of be out there as a form of promotion. Unless I would take those videos off of like YouTube, for example. But, they might watch I don't know, 5, 10 minute video and they might see a short clip for a recent music video that I released or a recent album that I put out. And sometimes, you get a little traction off of it, sometimes you don't. But I kind of use all three between making content, um, also uh, making content and I do also like purchase advertisement at times from like Instagram and I used to do Facebook. I'm not on Facebook anymore. But and I still I still also uh with collaborations, that is also another way I kind of even help get my name out there as well. Because with the producer that I'm working with, there have been people that have reached out to me that follow him wanting to work, or asking for podcast interviews and things like that. So actually, and that's another one, even podcast interviews. I seek those out a lot as well for the same reasons, because there might be somebody that I'm on their show and I connect with somebody that's in their audience, and that could be a another interview or even a collaboration, or I've even had like people that curate playlists get in contact with me and ask if I want to get some tracks on their playlist. And that's kind of a form of promotion as well. So that's kind of like all the ways that I've done it.
Absolutely. No, but I think that was I had to write down the album name.
Oh yeah, thank
I'm
you.
gonna check it out.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
But no, but I think it's important to find like what you talk about, like you try different things and then these things works for you within your genre, and then maybe something else works for other people if they do country or rap or whatever. But like this is also I was playing with my nieces today. They are 4 and 6 years old, and we talked about karma because I so much do believe that well, human beings are herd animals. We need kind of people. We need people when we need people for so many different things. And it's just like you say, if you are nice and give someone attention, then maybe you can get something back. And it's not like be kind because then you get something back, but it's just a it's just a nice way to go about your day and your career and your plans. And just I think if you get desperate and forget why you do what you do, then it's harder.
Yeah.
It's a lot harder. So I think I totally agree. Just figure out what works for you and continue releasing, continue doing it for your own sake, and then you will find people who likes what you do, because if you like it, guaranteed there are other people out there liking your
Yeah.
music.
Yeah, and even kind of with that said, like, because the internet is gonna be one place, but I mean, we all got our own communities around the world, and they have events locally that some of us may attend from time to time. I don't go to many events as I used to, but I do like music producer events. I went to a music producer event, in fact, in July here. Where I live at in Dallas. And that was a great place to network with other music producers. And even there were some artists there as well. But like, I mean, there's performances, there's open mics where artists and producers can go to network with each other. And that's some of the things that I've also not as much, but years ago, I used to be out there pretty much every other weekend, if not every weekend, getting my name out there. So, there's several different avenues, but at the end of the day, I just think that an artist or a producer can't just, create a song on a computer and just let it sit there. I mean, you have to get out there and get your name out and shake hands and network and, meet some other people.
Yeah, sadly, I think there's a lot of artists and musicians and composers and painters who kind of like, ah, shit, do I have to socialize?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. In some some way you have to, because this is how people learn, and this is how we interact, so either through the screen or in person. So, but after up to a certain point, I was in my 20s, I was going to a lot of these music industry type of things, like this industry talks and showcases and everything. I was just like, hello, 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 I
Mm-mm.
want to join you. And then after a while, I kind of got tired of myself and my own desperation. And so I went back to the studio, started doing what I want to do, and and I think it's that go back and forth all the time, create, tap into yourself, create, and then you have to, like you say, go out and show it to the world. This is my baby. This is what I do. Anybody like it? Okay, yay, nay. And then go back, create, and then so it's but the moment you start getting desperate, whether it's in your career or in your love life or whatever, that's when things start going down, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, and you should never make music like out of desperation. Make it because you're passionate about what you do. I think you said that earlier, in fact, and I think that a lot of a lot of people get into this and they think it's a get rich overnight, or they look for the money first rather than how can they even create a brand and then grow that brand to be able to profit off of it. But you
Yeah.
know, I would just say artists definitely don't sit on your music and get out there and network. And also on top of that, there's a lot of, and you have to be careful though, but there are a lot of great tips like on YouTube and other places that people that have built a great following might be able to spread some of that knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's always going to be people who want to exploit you, and there's always going to be people who actually cares about you and have good tips and want you, wish you well. So gut feeling, that is important to be how do you say this? Mediocre, cynical, and trust your gut. Trying to be like cynical, open. Yeah, 50-50.
You got to keep one eye open.
Yeah.
Now, now, for the remainder of 2024, even 2025, I can't believe I'm saying it now, but we don't have that long left. We're almost at October. But what plans do you have, creatively, with whether it's releases, music videos, performances?
I have some, I still have some music that I need to figure out because also musical questions that I need to figure out because I have some songs ready now that I want to put out there, but they are in a kind of different vibe. It's a ballad, and some of the other songs are a bit even more trance. In the trance genre. So that's what I'm trying to right now. It's been cuckoo crazy with work. I did a huge showcase for the Norwegian industry on Wednesday, and I've been doing a lot of event shows for the like corporate events. So now I'm going on a honeymoon actually on Monday. So I'm
Oh,
going on
okay.
my honeymoon first, and when I come
Congrats.
back, thank you. But my plan is then to spend the next month, a month and a half, just writing. So right now I'm putting together teams. I am going in different sessions with different producers and songwriters that I know, and some I don't know. But I'm trying to just write even more songs that can continue grow this platform. So the plan is definitely to release more music and continue trying to yeah, to build my own platform and
Yeah.
reach out to people and see whether or not people like what I do.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
hopefully festivals next year. That's my main goal.
Yeah, I hope to see you reaching the festivals, and whatever music that you come out with will definitely stay tapped in. And kind of with that being said, are you on socials or anything like?
Absolutely. I am guessing that your followers are mostly living in the States, but yeah, it's Mathilde. It's not Matilda, so it's Mathilde with a TH and an E at the end, SPZ. And you can find me on Instagram, Facebook. I am actually on Facebook, mostly because my mom and her friends still follow me on Facebook. And they are so sweet and cute. So you can find me on TikTok, on Insta, on Facebook, or mathildespz.com. There you have everything. So yeah, and
M
I love
A T E.
Mathilde.
Oh yeah, I got it right here. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll look you up on the platforms as well. So
do so, and I will find you as well, D Dot.
thank
And
you.
I really look forward to listening to your music.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. We just putting out a new video. Actually, that next one's coming in a couple of weeks, but we had one that actually released last week, and then from there, gonna start working on another project pretty soon, probably to cap off the last part of the year, short project. So, stay tuned for that. But I really appreciate
Cool. I can't wait. I really look forward to it.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And do you have any like special shout outs to, any of your supporters, any of your followers?
I would like to say I did the Norwegian like the semifinals of the for the Norwegian Eurovision this year. Eurovision is huge in Scandinavia and Europe, as you probably know. And I have to say that experience, I've been wanting to do that for, and of course, Eurovision is the main goal here. So I really want to do Eurovision, but I have to say that community, the Eurovision ESC community and the MGP community. Oh my, I still get messages from fan groups and support groups and people showing their love and just yeah, that I kind of get emotional just saying this out loud, but I really want to say thank you. And I know I have some followers from Eurovision fan clubs in the States as well. So thank you so much. It means the world uh, to all the fans, to everyone following me and cheering me on, and all my friends and family, and like thank you to you, D Dot, for having me here. But I have to say, the Eurovision community, it's it's something special. It's really, really special. So if you have the chance, go to a Eurovision party
Yeah.
when the finals is on next year.
Yeah.
Experience
Yeah.
it.
I'll be sure to check them out. Your vision.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Definitely, definitely. Well, to all the viewers and listeners out there, go ahead, hit Matilda with a follow on her socials. Check out some of her music as well. And it was definitely a pleasure to, spend some time talking to her this afternoon, or it's probably nighttime where you are, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm going to bed very soon, yeah.
Okay. All right.
But this was lovely. It was amazing and lovely chatting with you, Dida. So thank you so much for having me.
No problem at all. No problem at all. You can follow me on Instagram at d._major music. Same thing on TikTok. And if you use Threads. And then on X or Twitter at d.mme. And if you like this episode, please consider subscribing to this channel. I like to post weekly interviews with other music creators, like we had, just talking about their journey creating music and more. So I definitely appreciate y'all tuning in. You can find new episodes of the Major Music Lounge not only on YouTube but all podcast streaming platforms. It's D Dot and Matilda, and we are out.
Exhale the smoke out the window as I ride. take my L's like a champ if I know I tried. When I slide, my mind ventures to another place. Don't cop me out, cards in hand, I'm gonna play the ace. Not the face, pro wrestling, I'm gonna be the heel. Turn up when I need to, but I mostly chill. Fuck the skill, if you have that without the hustle. Don't drop music, but these rappers think they Simmons Russell. Flex the muscle off my venture, steady talking loud. You quit making music, really show us what you bout. In and out, and I'm not talking restaurants. Attend sport events with the homies, just a stunt. On the hunt, like a team competing for the playoffs. Somebody else working while you taking days off. Ways off, don't have the heart to